Fortinet NSE640 switch 7.2 NSE6_FSW 7.2 exam dumps are the best material for you to study all the related topics. Share some Fortinet NSE6_FSW 7.2 exam dumps here. 1. Which interfaces on FortiSwitch send out FortiLink discovery frames by default in order to detect a FortiGate with an enabled FortiLink interface? A. All ports have auto-discovery enabled by default. B. No ports are enabled by default for auto-discovery. This must be configured under Config Switch Interface. C. The ports with auto-discovery enabled by default are dependent upon the FortiSwitch model. D. The last 4 switch ports on FortiSwitch have auto-discovery enabled by default. 2. What are 2 reasons why time synchronization between FortiGate and its managed FortiSwitch is critical in switch management? Choose 2. A. FortiSwitch does not retain its time after a reboot, which gets reset after each reboot. B. FortiSwitch will not be able to become an NTP server for downstream devices. C. FortiSwitch cannot complete the DTLS handshake used in the CAPWAP tunnel. D. FortiSwitch will not allow other FortiSwitch devices in the chain be discovered by FortiGate. 3. Which statement about the quarantine VLAN on FortiSwitch is true? A. Quarantine VLAN has no DHCP server. B. Users who fail 802.1x authentication can be placed on the quarantine VLAN. C. It is only used for quarantined devices if global setting is set to quarantine by VLAN. D. FortiSwitch can block devices without configuring quarantine VLAN to be part of the allowed VLANs. 4. What are 2 ways in which automatic MAC address quarantine works on FortiSwitch? Choose 2. A. FortiSwitch supports only by VLAN quarantine mode. B. FortiGate applies the quarantine-related configuration only on FortiGate. C. FortiAnalyzer with a threat detection services license is required. D. MAC address quarantine can be enabled through the FortiGate CLI only. 5. How does FortiGate handle configuration of flow tracking sampling if you export the settings to a managed FortiSwitch stack with sampling mode set to perimeter is true? A. FortiGate configures FortiSwitch to perform ingress sampling on all switch interfaces. B. FortiGate configures FortiSwitch to perform ingress sampling on all switch interfaces, except ICL and ISL interfaces. C. FortiGate configures and enables flow sampling on FortiSwitch but does not change existing sampling settings of interfaces. D. FortiGate configures and enables egress sampling on all management interfaces. 6. Which 2 types of Layer 3 interfaces can participate in dynamic routing on FortiSwitch? Choose 2. A. Detected management interfaces. B. Loopback interfaces. C. Switched virtual interfaces. D. Physical interfaces. 7. What feature can network administrators use to segment network operations and the administration of managed FortiSwitch devices on FortiGate? A. FortiGate multi-tenancy. B. Multi-chassis link aggregation trunk. C. FortiGate clustering protocol. D. FortiLink split interface. 8. Which Ethernet frame can create layer 2 flooding due to all bytes on the destination MAC address being set to all FF? A. The broadcast Ethernet frame. B. The unicast Ethernet frame. C. The multicast Ethernet frame. D. The anycast Ethernet frame. 9. Which is a requirement to enable SNMPv2C on a managed Forti switch? A. Create an SNMP user to use for authentication and encryption. B. Specify an SNMP host to send traps to. C. Enable an SNMPv3 to handle traps messages with SNMP hosts. D. Configure SNMP agent and communities. 10. What can an administrator do to maintain a FortiGate-compatible Forti switch configuration when changing the management mode from standalone to FortiLink? A. Use a migration tool based on Python script to convert the configuration. B. Enable the FortiLink setting on Forti switch before the authorization process. C. FortiGate automatically saves the existing Forti switch configuration during the FortiLink management process. D. Register Forti switch to Forti switch cloud to save a copy before managing with FortiGate.